All right, welcome to Let's Talk About It Tuesday. I'm Georgette, I'm the mom.
And I'm TJ, I'm the son.
And we both work and study in the field of psychology, and we are passionate about sharing what we know with you so that you can live your best life. And today we're going to talk about authenticity. Authenticity. That is what happens when we align our actions with our core values and beliefs, right? It's something that is freely chosen, and it allows us to express who we are.
Yeah.
And here's something that I thought was interesting, and I love this point. People who are authentic have a great big advantage. They like their own company. How many people can say that? I can.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe too much, right?
A little too much, for sure. But
We're fans.
but also going back to the core values and core beliefs, I get asked a little bit about what that looks like. Think of it as like an I am statement or sentence, and it is kind of once a subconscious thought that it dictates some of your other thoughts. So you have to really dig and try to find these. I am unlovable. I am lovable. I am beautiful. I am valued. I am this. So you really have to identify what core values are important to you and which ones you really want to identify, because then you can align your thoughts and your behaviors more so towards these. So when it's I am ... whenever I ask you that, how would you like to fill that out? I am this, because once again, these are thoughts. They're almost like shades. You kind of put them on and they dictate what some of your thoughts are without your awareness. So a lot of us have these filters, these schemas throughout the day. So identify which ones are yours. You'll identify a little bit better of a level of authenticity.
Right. So authenticity is related to congruence, which is basically when your actions are consistent with your belief system. It's also related to resistance, how susceptible you are to being pressured or controlled by others to be not authentic, right? And it's also related to curiosity, going back to what TJ said, really trying to understand your own person, your own feelings, your own reactions, both good and bad. And that can be challenging for some people.
Especially the bad ones, because that is connecting with the negative core belief that you have about yourself. Once again, so you have to identify it, you have to tackle it, you have to try to really consciously look into it, because if you don't, it's just going to continue running rampant on your life until you take the courage to face it.
Right. Another perspective on authenticity relates it to self-alienation. Whether you know or understand yourself, authentic living, whether your behavior models your feelings, accepting external influence, whether you change your behaviors to match what others expect. So they kind of align nicely with what that other perspective was and what TJ was sharing earlier. Something that we do that balances what we want to say and what we should say is something called self-monitoring. It's something we all do, kind of like self-regulating, self-monitoring, right?
That stopping of the genuinely authentic, more likely for you to put in those filters, those walls to identify what are some ways I can make others happy. Once again, how can you be yourself for you?
It sounds like a lot of work to be authentic, and it probably can be, but researchers look
probably
into...
can't, but not definitely. What? Probably not definitely. It's 100%.
We don't want to discourage anybody.
No, it's 100% difficult. No, but it's almost discouraging if they go in thinking then that it's easy, but then it's met with some resistance. Might as well tell them there's some resistance so they're prepared so they can consciously get through it better.
That's true.
Boom.
That's true. So are authentic people happy? Yes, they are. Studies show they're more happy. They have more positive emotions, higher self-esteem, better relationship with others, and they experience more personal growth.
And those are the things you have to consciously focus in on when you are getting through some of that discomfort in order to do so. Because once again, those are all things that occur even if that other person's response is a little bit more negative. So be you. Be you. Sounds cliche. Continue to do it, because if you don't do it, you're going to continue to wear that mask, and it's just going to get harder and harder, deeper.
Why don't you be you, right? And I'll be me, right? There's a song.
That was rough.
Characteristics of authentic. I thought actually that was pretty good. Characteristics of authentic people. They have realistic perceptions of reality. They are accepting of themselves and other people. They're thoughtful. They have a non-hostile sense of humor.
Ooh,
that was interesting.
That's deep. Okay.
They're able to express their emotions freely and clearly.
Of course.
They are open to learning from their mistakes, and they understand their motivations.
All things that we don't instinctually feel the drive to do. We have to train these things. We have to work on these things. We have to develop this conscious side of ourselves, right? Accepting of themselves and of other people. That's something that we do not do automatically very well. It's something that you have to consciously do, right? Accepting the faults, accepting the beautiful things, and accepting what some other people's reasons might be for whatever the heck it is that they do or makes them authentic. It's only got to make sense to them. What you like is only got to make sense to you, and we need to be fine with that, because that's the only person that needs to make sense to is yourself, or that other person.
And going back to the work, right? When you look at all 7 of those items I said, all of those require intention and action.
Purpose.
Yes, they're not things that come naturally to most people. So it is actually more work.
But the more you do it, the more that this work becomes easy and becomes habitual. We are, if anything else, habitual creatures. We like to be a little more on the negative, looking towards the danger, but we're habitual than anything else. About 92% of the thoughts that you have today most likely repeats from yesterday, right? So once again, it's very easy to kind of go in the same kind of path, but you have to continuously challenging it. The more you do so, that challenge and that emotional resilience becomes therefore a habit and a skill, not necessarily something that we just think should automatically come from us automatically, because it's not until you make it.
Speaking of habits, we just did a podcast on habits.
We've done a podcast on everything. Watch all the videos. What the hell are you doing? We've done everything.
Why it's hard to be authentic, let me tell you, because it requires transparency. It requires sharing.
Vulnerability.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, is that on there?
No, it isn't, but I thought it was. That's how good it was. That's how good a point it was.
I'm better than this article, apparently. No, I'm just kidding.
It requires we share our inner self. Unfortunately, the problem with that is we care too much about what other people think, and so we fear rejection.
We love ourselves more than others, but we care about what other people think more than what we think about ourselves.
Complex.
Consciously focus on the things about yourself, because those things are so much more powerful than other people's opinions of you. I promise you.
Here's something else I think is really kind of deep.
Cat hair flying
is that it's hard to be authentic because it may stifle success. And you think about that. You think about that in terms of just the sales profession, right? You can't really be authentic in sales because you're going to do what it takes to make the sale, right?
Yeah.
But then to think about it this way too, what's your definition of success? Your definition of success should be loving you and being forgiving of yourself, being true to yourself. That would be a different definition of success. So just something to think about, I think.
Yeah. So then thinking, if your job is really making you sacrifice that much more of your authenticity, then you have to ask the question, how much is that monetary gain even worth it at that point? Because I would argue in the long run, not worth it all that much, because you can find another job. And there's another thing, the fear of trying to go out and find a different job is stressful, this and that. It's very easy for us to get stuck in our ways. But if you are constantly putting yourself in an environment where you are not letting your authentic self shine through, that authentic self is going to continue to bury, hide away. So if your authenticity is affecting your job, then the answer would be to either set the boundaries and try to fix it within the program, within that field. But oftentimes cultures, especially jobs, are set in their ways. It is up to us, unfortunately, to go out and find another one, because you will eventually find one. You only got to find one job that you really enjoy, right? And it's just, you just got to find that environment for all of you to shine.
You can use defense mechanisms for a while. You can compartmentalize, and that'll get you through it for a while. But at some point, it's going to catch up with you. The other strategy, I think, that's gotten me through some jobs that I didn't really care for is crafting that job to my skill set and what I enjoy, focusing on those aspects of my job.
Or aligning it to a purpose. Yes, I need to get through this to eventually get to the level of position that I feel like I can more so present my more so authentic self. So identifying that, whether it's negative or positive, connecting it to some level of purpose, meaningful, because everything we do, no matter how small, no matter how big, you brushing your teeth, you showering this morning, was in line with your purpose of doing some type of meaningful work for yourself. So it's in the little things and the big things. And once again, asking the question, if this is causing me this much turmoil, is it worth giving away all my authenticity? Because I would argue it's not.
Right. And to your point, one of the things that you said was to align it to your purpose. That actually brings it back to our authenticity, right? So you're making it fit, right?
It's almost, because that's another thing, because once again, 50 to 70,000 thoughts, we know we want what we want. We know the purpose, we know the goals, we know the things we want, we know the family, all that stuff. But we see very easy with certain external stimuli coming at certain points, because of how quickly they come, how easy we can get knocked off course. These things do just recenter you, reset you, bring you back to the purpose, bring you back to the overall goal, because whatever it is that is causing you not to be authentic, whatever it is causing you so much emotional turmoil, it's probably not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things. Our brain just got a funny way of doing that. And one of those ways, I can't be that authentic, I can't be that authentic, but you can, you must be, and you need to be. And it's inspiring to others, right? The more that you shine your own light, you give other people the permission to shine their light as well. And most people will appreciate you for it. Most people might make fun of you a little bit, but it's not a big deal. Wear that fanny pack. Wear those obnoxious colors, right? Have fun. Screw what other people think. If they don't like you, then screw them. Find another group that will. And if not, you already got a group, because it's yourself that we're training to love ourselves.
So this week, we want you to think about vulnerability as a challenge, as an opportunity to be courageous, and you be you. And I want to shout out to my niece Zoe in Pittsburgh, who is a faithful viewer. Hi, Zoe. We love you.
What's up?
Everyone else have a great week. Well, Zoe too. We will see you next week on Let's Talk About It Tuesday.